Master your hot yoga potential and stop doing these mistakes. Now, these are mistakes that most beginners make, but that being said, many times people will come to my class and they've been doing hot yoga for years and no one's corrected them. We're going to go back and forth to the studio in this episode with Barkan teacher Najat. I'm going to show you what the mistake looks like, how we can fix it, and this is absolutely essential if you're going to unlock your hot yoga potential. As we navigate through and practice our yogic postures in Sanskrit, yoga asana, alignment's key. Pretty much, my YouTube channel is dedicated to showing you proper alignment in all the poses and hot yoga in the Bikram world, the Barkan world, and other styles of yoga. My favorite metaphor, it's like the key that opens the lock. If the tumblers don't fit in perfectly, you're not going to get the result. You're not going to be able to open that door. And here's the good news. There's an exact position for everybody at every level. From beginning first day person all the way to 30, 40-year veterans. And my job, and the yoga teacher's job, is to help you find that exact position. Get those tumblers fit right into that lock and open that door. What a difference it makes. Before we continue, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Hit the notification bell. You want to learn all about hot yoga, tutorials, factoids, and flows. Hit the subscribe button and the like button right now. Any questions or comments, put them down below. I'm happy to get back to you. I've been certifying yoga teachers since the mid-1980s. Back then it was Bikram yoga teachers. 2003, I started the Barkan Method Hot Yoga Teacher Training Program in the teacher training programs. In the teacher training programs, I tell people as a yoga teacher, you must play this game in your classroom for the rest of your career. And the game is, ready for the drum roll? What's wrong with this picture? As a yoga student, you have to understand the proper alignment so you can get to the next level. And as a yoga teacher, you must understand the proper alignment to get your students to the next level and also for your own personal practice as well. So let's go right to the studio with Barkan and Bikram teacher Najat, and we're going to look at the eagle pose. And the first thing I'm going to want you to think about is what's wrong with this picture. She's going to do the posture incorrectly. Can you see it? I want to train your eye for it. Once again, not just for teachers, but also for students. It's important to understand the proper position and alignment. So what's wrong with this picture? Doesn't look too bad. Maybe you're not really sure. Something seems off. What do you think?
I'm sorry, ladies. I just don't see it.
That's the hand position. I'm going to have Najat unfold her legs, but keep her hands so you can see the position. The underneath arm, that hand has to be inside. So instead of here, it has to be here. Let's do it again. Rochelle's going to zoom in. From here to here. So the underneath arm, that hand comes inside. Now I have Najat do her legs. And what a difference it's going to make. Now you can really see the difference. If you're a student and you're doing this wrong, make sure you correct it. Get that underneath arm, that hand inside. As a teacher, you got to watch for it. You got to watch your students. Because 99% of the new people that aren't used to this pose are going to get the hands wrong. Fix it, get it right, put them in the right position. Welcome back to my home. That was a tricky one. Even Najat, after we finished recording the video, she said to me, that's so weird. I've never known that people could put their hands in that position because the thumbs are still facing you, but the hands are incorrect. So we have to understand how we can get the right position. Because again, if you're out of position, what's important to understand about alignment concept is the proper position. And again, doesn't matter. I'm not talking about the most advanced position. I'm talking about the exact position, whatever level that you're at, in order for you to get the intended release, in order for you to get the full potential of the pose. Because the pose, it's almost like an acupuncture point. We're going to zero into an exact position. So when we get the hands to come flat together in the eagle pose, we're working on all the joints, the shoulders, elbows, and wrists. If the hands are out of position, we're no longer activating and opening up those joints, which is an absolutely essential warm-up pose to do. The eagle pose is one of my favorite warm-up positions because it opens all the joints at the same time. Let's head back to the studio with Najat and we're going to look at standing bow. First thing I want you to look at is what's wrong with this picture. Can you see it? Do you see what's wrong? Do you see what's off? Let's go to the studio and find out. What's wrong with this picture? Once again, it doesn't look too bad. You're not really sure. The arm's reaching fine. She's holding her foot from the inside. But what's happening is she's twisted. She's twisted her arm. So look at the shoulder and look at the elbow. Now I'm going to have her come out of it. And now pick up the grip again like you did before, Najat. See the shoulder? See the elbow? See how it's turned in? We want to make sure that, now do it right. When you do it right, the shoulder and elbow come out in an external rotation. Let's do it wrong again for a second, Najat. If you find, go ahead and down to the pose. If you find they're in the pose, You don't want to change them in mid-flight. You don't want to say, oh, change your grip here. You want to have them bring them out of it, out of the pose. Bring them out. And now tell them to let go. Sometimes they won't want to because they're so compelled to doing it right.
Leave me alone.
They don't want to let go. Say, let go, let go. And what I'll do is just turn the hand around and pick up the foot. Okay, let go for a second. If she's a brand new person, you can let go. If she's a brand new person, sometimes I don't even wait for them to hold her wrong. I'll just go, turn the hand out, now pick up your foot from the inside. And now they've got the grip. You may want to hold their shoulder so you can help monitor their balance. And now when she goes to the position, now look what happens. Now you can see how the shoulder turns out and an external rotation. Now she's in the right position. Change the grip. You got to look for it as a teacher and as a student. Make sure you don't turn that hand around. External rotation, standing bow. Great pose.
Welcome back. So now the bow pose and the eagle pose, sometimes those are hard positions to really see. You really can't tell if that shoulder is turning in. In the Barkan Method Teach Train programs, I had people hold their hands wrong on purpose to train this teacher's eye to make the correction. If you're interested in becoming a Barkan Method Hot Yoga teacher, either live or online, I put links in the description below. We'd love to have you join the family. So let's head back to the studio with Najat, and we're going to do a posture that's really a lot easier to recognize that it's off, and that's the third part of the awkward pose. Once again, I'm picking postures that many beginners and some non-beginners will make a mistake with. Let's head to the studio with Najat, third part, awkward pose.
Now this is an easy one to see. Third part awkward pose, obviously her upper body is too far forward and her knees are too high. So what happens is they want to hold on to the balance. You want to say bring your upper body back and your knees down. So there's a pelvic tilt. So go ahead and do that, Najat. Upper body back, knees down, but still you can see the upper body's too far forward. So as a teacher, here's a really great hands-on assist. Go forward again. You can place your hands on their shoulder and say upper body back, knees down. See that little pelvic tilt from here to here. Don't bring your knees so low. Yes, hold the core. So from here to here. And now the back is nice and straight. Make sure in the third part awkward pose, you're not too far forward and your knees aren't too high.
Welcome back. So those postures are both in the Barkan sequence and in the Bikram sequence. But two postures that are not in the Bikram sequence, definitely in the Barkan sequence, is sun salutation or runner's lunge, it starts it, and downward facing dog. So let's go to the studio with Najat. I'm going to show you the common mistake people make in first runner's lunge, which also sort of ties in with the beginning of triangle pose. It's really warrior two. It's the setup for triangle. So it's really the same common mistake. I'm going to show you as we go to the studio. Look at Najat.
Now in the Barkan class, not in the Bikram class, actually it's in Bikram's advanced class, we do sun salutation. This is the runner's lunge. This is the main problem. They don't step out far enough, so the knee's too far over the toes. So instead what we want to do is make sure the foot comes more forward. Bring this foot forward. Yeah. So the longer step is going to get you lower. The same thing happens with the setup for triangle. Come up for a second, Najat. We're going to do a setup for triangle, what we call warrior two. And only step like halfway out. Maybe a little more than that. Arms down. Look over your right shoulder. Sit down into warrior two. Turn your foot. If you don't step off far enough, they can't get low enough. She almost wanted to adjust it just now because she can't get low enough. So instead, you've got to step out further. The bigger step allows you to get lower. Same thing in runner's lunge. Same thing for the setup for triangle. When we do warrior, bigger step gets you lower. The knee stacks over the ankle. Make sure that knee isn't too far forward. Now, definitely not in Bikram, but definitely in Barkan, we do downward dog, which comes from a different part of the country, down from Mysore in the south. So a lot of times, especially if they're a Bikram person, they don't understand the concept. Their upper body's too far forward. It's almost like they're in a push-up. So what I'll do is I'll say, don't move your hands. This is really important. Bend your knees a little bit and bring your hips back. But it's important to say, don't move your hands. Come forward a little bit more. Because if you say bring your hips back, they'll start walking their hands in toward their feet. Do that. Yeah, you don't want them to do that. Get the hands back again. Say, keep your hands there. Don't move your hands. Bend your knees a little bit and bring your hips back. Chest down. Nice flat back, and then you can straighten the legs as your hamstrings get more flexible. So no push-up. Downward dog, it's really a great position. And if you are a Bikram person, make sure you're doing this posture a couple times a week in your practice, or go to a vinyasa class, change it up.
Now I want to show you two more poses. Welcome back to my home, by the way. Two more poses that are on the floor. The first is what Bikram calls fixed firm. In Sanskrit, it's Supta Vajrasana, which means reclining. Supta is reclining. Diamond pose. Vajra is the diamond, or the thunderbolt, or the lightning. So sometimes I call it lightning, sometimes I call it diamond pose. If people have a knee issue, and they don't want to go back into the pose, sometimes they'll stick their leg out in the air to bypass their injury. But here's a very important point about this Yogasana. Why Vishnu Ghosh created, Vishnu Ghosh, by the way, was Bikram's teacher and my teacher's teacher. Why he created the style of yoga in the first place is to heal the body. It's not about the posture, it's about the body. The last thing you want to do is stick your leg out in the air and completely avoid the posture that's going to help to heal the hip. Then that's why you have a knee issue most likely in the first place. So let's go back to the studio with Najat and show you how to properly practice fixed firm if you have a knee issue.
What's wrong with this picture? Obviously, her leg is too far out. Sometimes people have knee issues and they just stick their leg out in the air because they want to avoid the problem with the knee. You don't want to go all the way back. It's not about the posture, it's about the body. So I'm going to have Najat come back up. Come on up, Najat. Don't bring that knee straight out in front of you. Instead, you're going to keep your knees together, feet apart, separate your feet, and keep your hands on the floor in front of you to take the pressure off the knees. Hands on the floor in front of you takes the pressure off the knees. And then you can start working your way back using your hands on the floor to take the pressure off the knees. Eventually, you grab your ankles and you go for the right elbow first, then the left elbow. But if that's as far as you can go, let's say it's too much for your knees. In fact, let's say that's even too much. Come up a little bit more. You got to go to the point where you're not irritating the injury. Do not stick that leg out in the air. Make sure you protect your knees by using your hands to the side of your body.
Welcome back. One more pose. One more pose on the floor. I believe for the floor poses, this is probably the adjustment or the correction that I make more than any other floor pose, and that's the position of the foot and how we need to bring it up closer to the knee. Most people have their foot back too far. I would say 90%. Even the advanced, even the intermediate students, and sometimes the advanced students, we got to get that heel all the way up to the knee. So the heel, the knee, and the hand are all touching. Let's go back to the studio one more time with Najat, show you what I mean.
Spine twist, once again, in both the Bikram and the Barkan world, one of the biggest problems people make is this foot is too far back. So they bring their left arm over, they try to do the pose. Go ahead, bring your left arm up and over. And they can't get the knee because the foot's back too far. So they think they either have to do this or they have to grab the towel. But the problem is the heel. So when you bring this heel all the way up to the knee, so the heel, the hand, and the knee are all in line. Now grab the knee. Now you can grab it much easier. You have a parallel position between the shin and the forearm. Get that foot forward in spine twist. Big mistake. Let's not make it. Let's change this pose because it's really an amazing posture.
Welcome back. So the purpose of this video, these are very common mistakes that are easily fixable. So we need to fix these mistakes if you want to continue to improve in your practice. I'm not even talking about getting better in yoga. I'm talking about doing it properly because we got to get those tumblers to fit into the keyhole to open the door. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck. And you realize sometimes you can be stuck for years, but it would be so easy to make this one simple adjustment. So as a student, you want to make that adjustment. As a teacher, you want to play that game. Remember that game again. What's wrong with this picture? Make the correction and get your students on the right track. So that's our episode for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hit the notification bell. Questions, comments, put them down below. I'm happy to get back to you, and I'll see you at the next video. Bye, everyone.